Welcome back, everybody. We know that you guys love silk and you love textiles and fabrics, so we are going to have a program on Spitalfields silk. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Ruby Lane.
Good morning.
We are so excited. We found this little tiny gallery off the beaten path. Now, in some of our past videos, we've talked about silk that's used in doll costuming, and it's called Spitalfield silk. This is a type of silk that was made in London. When we think of silk, most of it, we think of it as being imported from other countries such as France, Italy, Asia, the Asian countries. But there was a big industry in London for silk. The Victoria and Albert Museum has given a little corner dedicated to this very important industry of silk making, which I am so excited because we have lots and lots of pieces of fabric to look at and see the beautiful designs, colors, etc. So we should start with this man's waistcoat, which is just spectacular in the color combination. We're at like the 1730s, and it's amazing, amazing pieces. In my opinion, perhaps at some point the upper sleeve had been replaced, because at this time fabric was very, very prized and important. So you would, repair, reuse whatever you had, and that's okay. But this is just an amazing piece. And then it has incredible buttons and the amazing buttonholes. But this is just a spectacular piece. And in the back, they have a fantastic portrait really showing off Spitalfield silk and patterns. But, we love shoes. Rachel loves shoes.
We love shoes.
Everybody loves shoes.
Look at those shoes.
And here is a pair of shoes that were, custom made for someone with the Spitalfield silk. And just amazing.
Look at the
amazing
back,
shoes.
look at the heels, every part of it is embroidered.
Probably 1730.
Amazing.
And then here is a dress. It's very interesting. They attribute this, and I agree, they're the experts, that here's a lady's gown in Spitalfield silk that has had at least 2 major alterations over a span of about 50 years. Because again, the silk was so priced. And the one thing about Spitalfield silk is, those of us that like dolls with original clothing, a lot of times the silks disintegrate, fall apart. This type of silk, this British silk, was very, very durable. So it could go for 50 years and be reworked. One thing too I want to point out, that you see how the sleeves are set in? It's very, very different from what you'd find in a 19th century gown. They're almost set towards the back. So that's something to look for. Now, there's another thing I want to point out. I'm not used to seeing a sleeve pattern running in that direction. That is a little unusual to me to see. Usually the pattern would be running horizontal. So that's kind of interesting. And then here are just a beautiful display of Spitalfield silk. Rachel, look at this.
Look at that
with the
one.
peacock
The
feathers.
amazing.
It's just an amazing piece. It's kind of similar to the portrait over here. And then this one, I have seen this pattern on doll dresses before. And it's a nice small pattern for dolls. It's not that they cared about patterns. They would use whatever they had. And then you have the Spitalfield. This would be the top of the line price-wise because it has metallics, golds woven into it. And again, a dreamy pattern, just a beautiful pattern.
Could you imagine walking into a fabric store and being able to just buy this by the bolt?
I don't think you would be able to do that. I think that you would have to. They'd probably show you a sample book, and
Special
you
order.
probably wouldn't get to see it until you paid for it. Shopping was very different then. This was handmade, so it was hard to come by. But look at this blue and gold, Rachel. I mean, it's just amazing. But I want to go over here and show you this bit here, because this is like circa 1700 up here. but it really is very much of the aesthetic movement. So a lot of these patterns that are, 200 plus years old, they have a very modern feeling to them. And particularly this one, look at that. Isn't that fantastic?
It's so fantastic.
And here we have a panel up here that you can see it was taken off of a dress. And there's the edge of the open robe dress. The edging is still there. Now this type of silk was used for dressmaking and was also used for bed hangings and covering furniture. As a matter of fact, in Martha Washington's will, she left one of her nieces a skirt. And in the will it said you can use the skirt, you can remake it for yourself as a dress, or you can use it to cover a chair.
And that's it.
And so it would have and it wouldn't have been wasted. And I can guarantee you the silk that Martha Washington's skirt was probably Spitalfields silk, because the silks were imported to America. So I mean, this is a wonderful place to go and take your camera and start taking pictures. We've talked about this a lot, Rachel, in building up your scrapbook. These pieces have all been attributed by this fine institution as being Spitalfield. So if you have a doll that's, say, dressed in this, or dressed in this, or that, you can identify it as Spitalfield. Now the other thing I want to tell you, I think as collectors, you can find the silk on Ruby Lane. But what you're going to be really surprised about is when you go to sew it, you have to be like Superwoman to sew it. This is British tough. This is a wonderful thing to work with, but you got to be strong.
You got to be strong.
And modern needles don't really do the job because it is so strong.
We hope you guys enjoyed this wonderful peek into another one of the fabulous exhibits here at the Victoria and Albert Museum.
This is just off. We weren't looking for this. We just found this wonderful little corner that they have in the British department that they've given over to Spitalfields Silk. So good for them for doing that.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.